Birmingham Sports
with Ben Ellis.
This is BHBN Radio.
Welcome to the Monday After from BHBN Radio. This is the sports team. My name's Ed Mackay, and we are joined by an incredible panel of sports broadcasters this evening. We are a really dedicated sports team. We bring you live coverage from West Brom, Birmingham City, Aston Villa, and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Those commentaries and shows are broadcast to the Birmingham hospitals and many care homes. And this is our podcast offering. And we are normally led by the very experienced and professional Ben Ellis. But today you're stuck with me. I'm Ed. And we also have the wonderful Kim, who is here with us, is Birmingham City fan. We have Jonathan Wimbush, who is a West Brom fan. He assures us he's a West Brom fan.
I am a West Brom fan. I am a West Brom fan.
We also have Rob Richards, also goes by the name of Oddballer, and he's a Villa fan. He's literally advertising it. And Mike/Mick McGough is also with us, and
that's much better.
Is a Villa fan.
Excellent.
Mike, you can turn your camera on for us then, sir, and we will get underway.
Okay, I will. 1 minute.
Look at this. Look at this. Professionalism as always from the BHBN
That's
sports team. There he is, Mike. So actually, I'll come to you first, Mike, as you've joined us, and you're somewhat new to the format of the podcast because we have had our second Midlands derby of the week, and this was a big one in the Premier League. Aston Villa Wolves. I would say Rob Edwards. We've talked a lot about Wolves over the last few podcasts with Rob Edwards coming in, and I think this was a massive challenge. Villa obviously got the points with a 1-0 win, and they do go up to fourth, which is is probably, you would say, is their target for the season. But talk to me about the game, Mike. I mean, an incredible goal has won it. What did you make of the 90 minutes, as it were?
Yeah, from a Villa fan's point of view, it's quite a frustrating game, wasn't it? I mean, Wolves came, they obviously up the levels a bit, playing a derby. And to be honest, they had the best chances. And I think if it wasn't through Emi Martinez, they probably could have been 2-0 up. I mean, a great save. I don't know whether you saw the pictures, but one save from Larson that Emi Martinez tipped onto the crossbar and kept that out was world-class save. And really, he kept Villa in the game for most of it. Villa looked in control mostly, but Wolves were always dangerous, and you always thought if they got that goal and they did go one up, they could have hung on to that. But it's been Wolves' problem all season, hasn't it? It's that bit of consistency, that goal scoring, and like most teams that you think they haven't won a game this season, and you probably could see why. And it wasn't for lack of effort. I think they, each and every player. You could see the effort they were putting into the games, but when you're down there, you looks out. This is what happens, and it took a worldie to win the game. And it's strange that Villa are scoring goals. I think they've scored most goals from outside the box this season than any other team. So
Kamara's was an absolute screamer, wasn't it?
Oh, it was, yeah.
He's what separated the teams. I mean, Jonathan, you and I have been to Molineux together a few times. We've had this conversation quite a lot about their inability to actually be clinical and score goals, and it was more of the same really from them today, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really, and Wolves, they're not short of goals, but the problem is they score 2 but concede 3 in the same game, and they can score goals, but they just don't have the results to boot. They've only got 2 points all season, and that was the draws with Brighton, which we were there at Molineux, I think, Ed, and also the point away at Spurs. So yeah, it's one of those. Obviously, Vitor Pereira's gone now, and they brought in Rob Edwards from Middlesbrough, and Yeah, it's still a little bit more of the same, really. Although the performances are there, the results just aren't.
No,
You
no, you
say
could see that.
one of the things,
Yeah.
yeah, and the thing is, like last week, Connor and I were commentating on them, and we were saying like that they're giving it their all, but there's a bit of a lack of quality. And then the other thing I do think that we have to be fair to me is, and Mike alluded to it, they are definitely playing for Rob Edwards, and they were creating a lot today. So the last 5 minutes, I mean, they were peppering the goal, like you said, Martinez um, pretty much kept Villa in the game and allowed them to get the 3 points. But I'm going to come to Rob for this because we spoke recently about Villa and their upturn, if you like, and the way they've sort of I sort of they had a slow start, but now they're sort of flourishing. And were they just too good for what is essentially a championship team today?
Well, yeah, the short answer, yes. We said Wolves give every game their all, but their all's not good enough, it seems, and it does seem every other team, when they give it some, it's better than Wolves. Um, it this was always going to be a tricky one for Villa because in the last few years it seems whatever state the two teams are in, however high Villa are, however low Wolves are, it's always a tricky one. It's one of the, it's a derby. Form goes out the window, and it was always threatening to be something for Wolves, and they got the goal initially. I think probably a little bit unlucky for them that it was ruled offside, obviously due to the infringing the goalkeeper. But saying that, the player was literally standing in front of Martinez and then jumping to the side. Literally, Martinez couldn't have dived, to save that because he would have collided with the player. So, but on another day, that player's not there and the goal goes in. But like we always say, when you're at the bottom, you just don't get the luck, and it's things like that. A world class save in maybe another game, Martinez doesn't make that save, but it just happens. It happened again with Wolves, and when your luck's not in, it's not in, and like I said, the quality's just not there.
It looked like a little bit of a sort of stuttery performance from Villa, if you like. I'm trying to pick
What?
complimentary words, if you like, because apart from that moment of magic, Villa didn't look all that. I mean, is
What?
that fair?
I think obviously there's always two teams playing, and Wolves' game plan to me it seemed they were being very physical. That's not. I'm not trying to say, oh, they were hurting our players. I'm not saying that, but they were a very physical team, and it was stop start. There was a lot of cynical fouls. I think maybe a few more yellow cards should have been awarded, possibly, to Wolves players, but they definitely came to throw Villa off their rhythm, and I think they resorted. You know, Wolves should have some comfort that they've had to concede. An outside the box screamer that Villa resorted to that, and I think they were possibly helped as well by Watkins coming on, because at the moment Watkins is toothless in front of goal, and you can run him into a channel and he'll just get lost in the weeds, it seems. So I think when I saw Watkins coming on, I was thinking, are we going to get a goal through Watkins? Is this, I
Raised
was happy to
eyebrow
see
when
Holland
he
start,
entered the field then.
but
Yeah, it's funny, Ed.
yeah,
Just to come in there, it's one thing I wanted to say about the Villa game. There is an undertone going on at the Villa at the moment that our striker isn't performing. We really haven't got a backup striker. I know Marlon's come on and he's done well, but he's not.
No,
He's
yeah.
not an Ollie Watkins. He doesn't play the same game, and I think the crowd. I could, I wasn't there today, but I was watching it on the TV, and even the commentators were saying that the crowd probably turned up thinking they were just going to roll Wolves over, and that didn't happen. But there's something going on at Villa, and maybe January there'll have to be a change because Watkins isn't the same player we can rely on to get the goals. And it's like I said, most of our goals are coming from Rogers, Kamara scored today, and Nana scored, Cash has scored, and
Diaz
Marlon's chipped in
weighed
as
in with a
well.
couple, hasn't
Bendir,
he?
yeah, with free kicks, that have got us out of trouble. So, that was from the Villa point of view. We're not blowing teams away, and you probably think Wolves, bottom of the table, haven't had a win all season. Villa are very good at home, very good, and you probably thought that would have been an easy win, but it wasn't. It wasn't at all. And Villa, even though we're up there, I wouldn't say our performances are fantastic. I think that apart from the Bournemouth game, which I think they blew Bournemouth away, most of them, we're getting the 1-0. We get the Leeds game last week, for instance. I mean, we went 1-0 down, could have been 2, and we managed, Roger stepped up with 2 great goals and got us out of trouble there. So, I wouldn't say Villa are firing on all cylinders, and that there is a part of the jigsaw that's still missing. I think we've got a great midfield. We've got lots of options. I think our defensive unit is great, but it's I think Unai Emery's struggling with what to do with the front three. He'll always have Rodgers in there. He's got McGinn obviously around there. Marlon now. He's missing it. The way Villa have always played under Unai Emery is to have Watkins running those channels and being a threat, and we've lost that, and we've had to adapt, and I think the team as a whole is adapting to that.
You'd say that
So
that Villa there, that maybe the performances aren't always there, but they've got enough quality to get over the line in games. But Kim, let me come to you because we spoke last week a lot about Wolves, and obviously you were on the podcast with me last week. That they are a little bit unlucky as well, aren't they, Wolves? Because last week they had a goal that was similar to that offside one, and it wasn't given as an offside against Palace, and that they got the goal. And now this week it happens to them, and it is given. So I think this is one of the things that we talk about a lot with regarding the refereeing is that consistency piece. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the result. Obviously, you were hosting the live show today, so what did you make of it from what you heard in the commentary, what you've seen since with regards to that
Yeah, well,
decision? Because
from from the commentary, it actually sounded to me as though Rob Edwards is actually starting to have a bit of an impact on the team because last week, as soon as they conceded, they fell apart. Whereas actually this week they didn't, because I think had that game come up 3 or 4 weeks ago, they would have lost it 3 or 4-0 because they would have just completely crumbled. But I think he's starting to work on them. I'm sure there won't be enough in time because we're coming up to Christmas and Wolves have only got 2 points. So I'm sure this season is now about damage limitation and that they've got a manager who they're fairly confident will be able to take them back up again. But if he can get a bit of backbone into them and even try and do something with some of these players who are new to the Premier League and aren't coping with it very well, and at least get them to do the simple stuff reasonably well, then by the end of the season, yes, they'll have still gone down, but there won't be so much of a car crash as they were at the start of the season, which they
yeah, and
clearly were.
As Ben says, like they should be targeting beating that Derby
Yeah,
points tally, isn't
yeah.
it? Because like you said, we're about to get into silly season where there's 3 games every week for every team. And if you don't accrue any points by January, given that they're in
Mhm.
20th on 2 points, they are in
Yeah,
real danger of,
Yeah.
because it's so easy for players to check out if you get too far into a season and you're just not able to put a point on the board. I mean, Jonathan, you've seen them quite a bit live, and I think what Kim said there is absolutely accurate. It's actually what I said in my commentary last week. As soon as they conceded, they fell apart. I mean, they did have more fight today, didn't they?
Yeah, they had more fight, and I completely agree with the Edwards influence, and also, you know, Derby 2007 2008. They only accumulated 11 points, the worst Premier League team in history so far. So yeah, I think Kim's right with the target for this season is just to get those 11 points or more. Because 2 points at the bottom of the table, and like 8 points from Burnley, who are in 19th. They're on 10 points, so they've almost cleared that hurdle that was set by Derby all those years ago. And even Leeds, who are like 18th, they're on 11 points. So I think that is now the target for Wolves. I think they will be playing championship football next season, and Rob Edwards obviously just come from Middlesbrough, and Middlesbrough still in the top three despite him leaving that club. So yeah, I think definitely the Derby target needs to be the one for Wolves.
Yeah, okay. So we'll just switch back quickly to Aston Villa, because when you look at the league table, you would say that even though we're going into December today, as people are listening to it, the podcast, it still hasn't quite taken shape, has it? Because there's not many points between sort of second and 13th, in the Premier League. So there's still a lot of football to play. There's still a lot of big 6-pointers to come, you would say, over the next few weeks. But Rob, do you think Villa can hold on to this fourth place Champions League spot as they are at the moment?
Well, yes, I do actually. I say that coming from a point where we've been recently in the last 3 or 4 seasons now. Villa don't seem to be this kind of team, like for instance, like Nottingham Forest, or like a Crystal Palace we've seen recently, where they'll peak, get a European spot, and then maybe for the next 3 or 4 seasons after, then back into mid-table, and someone else will take. Brighton might come up, for instance. We're not seeing that at Villa. It does seem to be now consistently sort of 6th place and above. It seems. So I'm trying not to sound so biased, but just off the data where you can see Villa have been finishing, I can see Villa staying 4th. I mean, of course, there are Liverpool and Man United to get going as well, but they also might not. And because we've also got Sunderland and Brighton in and amongst this top 6 as well. So I mean, you would expect one or both of them to start to decline. But again, we were all waiting for Forest to drop off last season, and they just did just towards the end. But they're still in, they're still in Europe as well.
It's interesting that you mentioned Brighton there, because they're your next fixture, aren't they? You're away to Brighton. They got a good win today. So you said, look, there are a lot of very good teams with quality in there. So but Villa have given themselves a puncher's chance. They're in that spot, so it's theirs to keep now. With
of course.
win today.
And
go on.
Just a little one as well. I think it's always I always sort of laugh sort of out of derision when teams around Villa and even under Villa get mentioned that they're title contenders. And Villa are never in that conversation. I'm not saying they should be, but it's for instance, we'll still have, can Liverpool get back in the title race? For instance, will Man United make a late surge? Well, they're going to have to come up above us first, and we're never in the title conversation, which I don't think we should.
So you just wanted to throw a little bit of Villa delusion in there. Thank you for that. That's what we need. That's what we were missing.
It's media observation.
No, that's fair enough. Well, there you go then. So that's Aston Villa versus Wolves, our derby game, which was the feature commentary on BHBN Sports Radio today, and we are going to hear a little bit about BHBN Radio right now, and we'll be back to talk about West Brom versus Swansea with our resident West Brom fan.
BHBN Radio has been going since 1952. It is run entirely by volunteers, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Right now, BHBN needs friends like you to ensure it can broadcast to hospitals, care homes, and into the community for many more years to come. You can help by donating through our Just GoFundMe account. It's easy. Simply go to our website, bhbn.net, scan our GoFundMe QR code, and in a few clicks, you can help us out. If you're a taxpayer, you can give 25% more through gift aid at no extra cost to you.
BHBN Radio.
Welcome back to the Monday After. I'm Ed Mackay, joined by Rob Richards, Kim Smith, Jonathan Wimbush, and Mike McGough. And we're going to go straight to Jonathan Wimbush because he was at his beloved Hawthorns yesterday to see his team take 3 points. Shake it off, Jonathan. Shake it off. Talk to me.
I've just about caught my breath from yesterday's game because it ended West Brom 3, Swansea 2, but that wasn't the full story. You would think a game like that, and it was West Brom's domination of the game that got the result. Not so in the first half. Literally after 11 seconds, Zamfa Potnik scored his 7th goal of his campaign, and he keeps his place in the top 3 for top scorers. Obviously, the others being Coventry players Brandon Thomas Asante and Ellis Sims. But yeah, it was a little bit toxic in the first half. Nothing was going right for West Bromwich Albion. Ryan Mason did make a few changes from the draw with Birmingham in midweek. Jason Malumbi came back from suspension after being sent off against Coventry last weekend, which we talked about on the last episode of this show. And Alfie Gilchrist and Samuel Illing Jr. came in for George Campbell and Carlin Grant. At half time, that was quickly switched back because there was a quadruple substitution at half time with Albion 2-0 down, with Ethan Galbraith scoring in the 11th minute. And it was Alfie Gilchrist, Nat Phillips, Samuel Illing Jr. and Isaac Price all coming off for Christian Bielik, George Campbell, Josh Madger and Carlin Grant. And the cliche is game of two halves. Well, this was about as close to that as you can get, because whilst West Brom were poor in the first half, they absolutely smashed Swansea in the second. Ona Hegebo with 2 more goals. That's 5 goals in 4 games for him. So finally, Ona Hegebo has started to find his form and he's in a bit of a purple patch now. And of course, ironic as it is, the man that was sent off last weekend went straight from zero to hero. Jason Malumbi with 5 minutes to go, putting in a layup from Josh Madger, and ran straight to the dugout in the celebrations to pretty much hug everyone. And that was the togetherness that Ryan Mason was talking about before the game in other post-match press conferences, about the togetherness of the squad. And it was really on show there. But my heart went through quite a few palpitations during that game.
Well, it was interesting because I saw a comment from Kim when they went 2-0 down to Swansea, and she was just like, "What is going on with West Brom?" And then, half an hour later, we saw a response, and of course, you guys were together for the Birmingham City West Brom game midweek, weren't you? So you did a joint commentary there, which is quite interesting. I mean, it was a 1-1 draw. So we'll come back. What we'll do is we'll go to a quick break, and what we'll do, we'll come back and we'll dissect that and have a look forward to tomorrow for Birmingham's clash against Watford. So back in 2 seconds.
BHBN Radio has been going since 1952. It is run entirely by volunteers, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Right now, BHBN needs friends like you to ensure it can broadcast to hospitals, care homes, and into the community for many more years to come. You can help by donating through our Just GoFundMe account. It's easy. Simply go to our website, bhbn.net, scan our GoFundMe QR code, and in a few clicks, you can help us out. If you're a taxpayer, you can give 25% more through gift aid at no extra cost to you.
BHBN Radio.
Welcome back to the Monday After. I'm Ed Mackay, joined by a fabulous panel of BHBN sports presenters, and we go straight to Kim because she was there for West Brom 1, Birmingham City 1 midweek. And what's the story of that game? Because obviously we've just heard about West Brom's heroic comeback yesterday against Swansea. Are we talking about two teams who are got similar issues or similar strengths? How did you see it, Kim?
Possibly, because on Wednesday night, West Brom really came out the traps in the first half. That was obviously the game plan, to get in Blues' faces as much as possible, stop them doing the press, which certainly worked in the first half. And of course, they got the goal, went in 1-0 up. But after half time, Blues started coming back into it. And John was sat at the same table as me, getting progressively nervous, because he said, at some point we are going to concede. He said, because this is what happens, we concede late on in games. And it was late on. I mean, it was only a few minutes for the end. Lovely flicked on header by Marvin Dutch, of course, 1-1. And also there was an incident where West Brom probably got away with a penalty as well, didn't they, John? Because there was a bit of a hand, which fortunately for West Brom the ref didn't see. But yeah, I think that for Blues the big difference is between the home form and the away form. I mean, at home they've been doing really well. 12 goals in 3 games. But away, they've really not been as good. And there's been some really poor performances away, to be honest. I mean, Bristol City's one and Stoke City was another. And I was at both of them watching really lacklustre performances where Blues were getting loads of possession, but just couldn't do anything with it. And it was actually good to see Blues go behind in an away game and get something out of it. So that's positive as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because obviously tomorrow you are at home, and Monday night game at St Andrews under the lights, as they say, and you've had a pretty good run of form there. What's your score prediction for tomorrow? That's what we're gonna go around now. We're gonna ask the score prediction for Birmingham, because the thing is about it is you're in 11th, Watford are in 15th, but there's 1 point difference between the teams. So give us a score prediction for tomorrow, Kim.
Yeah, it's all so tightly packed in the Championship tomorrow. I think I'm going to go Blues 2, Watford 1, because I wouldn't be surprised if we did concede. But I think and I hope we will carry on being able to get some goals, because what's happened to Blues lately is Tommy Doyle, who's really started coming into his own. Surprise Wolves don't want him back, actually. Marvin Dutch is now fit, and he's a very intelligent player. He's good at bringing other people into the game, and also Jay Stansfield scoring. So,
I'm going to come to you then, Jonathan, as a fellow Championship supporter and somebody who's seen Birmingham live this week. Give me a score prediction for tomorrow.
Well, this is probably influenced to West Brom's situation, because I don't want Birmingham to get too far away from us, because we're on the same points now. And in the same breath, I don't want Watford to overtake us, because they're within touching distance of us. So I'm just going to say a 1-1 draw and then bring on next week.
Fair enough. And we've got a full roster of Premier League games midweek as well. So I'm going to come first to you, Mike. Villa away to Brighton on Wednesday. Give me a score prediction for your beloved.
Yeah. Before I do that, it's funny because I was listening to Rob, and he's very, very enthusiastic about the Villa. What I would say, let's see where Villa are at the end of at the end of this month, December,
Yeah.
because we play Arsenal twice. We've got Man U in that. We've got West Ham away. And I would say
Big
if
ones.
Villa are still up there by the end of the month, or come Christmas, I'd have a bit more optimism. But we have got some big games coming up. Yeah, the draw Brighton away. Another tough game. We've just come off a Sunday game going to Brighton. We've got Arsenal following that. You know what it all comes down to, and this is where I was looking at the West Brom game as well and the Blues game. West Brom and I think Blues have got a strong 14-15 squad. Once
Push you for your
outside
score
that,
prediction, Mike.
okay,
because we've
sorry,
got 60
I am
seconds left
going.
of the show.
Okay, I'm going 2-1 Villa.
Fair enough. And Rob, same question to you.
Yeah, let's go for a 2-1. I agree.
2-1. It'll be an interesting game because I say Brighton are in good form as well. They performed very well today.
Yeah.
Rob and I will actually be going to the West Ham game away, so it'll be interesting to see how
Great.
they do get on. Obviously, I watched the game from the Olympic Stadium today, and finally, I have a smile back on my face because Liverpool got 3 points against West Ham. So we'll see how it is. Just enough time to say thank you to everybody who joined us there. Mike, absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Jonathan, Kim, Rob,
Great.
our regulars.
Cheers.
Thanks for all your input. We have been the BHBN Sports Team. This has been the Monday After. Easy for me to say. I'm Ed Mackay. All I do need to say is please do like and subscribe.
Birmingham Sports
with Ben Ellis. This is BHBN Radio.